Who the hell buys a Mac to play video games? Well, no one really, but I've got a Mac and sometimes I want to play games. Am I crazy? Am I stupid? Will the Mac even play anything? Well, I'm going to have a look in this video. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at doing some benchmarks for some popular games that people might want to just play on their Mac. Now, look, let's get it out of the way. Nobody buys a Mac to play video games. If you buy a Mac to play video games, well, there's probably something wrong with you. But PC is going to be better for video games or a console. That's just pretty much a given. Even for stuff that runs on the Metal API, look, if you buy a Mac to play games, solely to play games, yeah, there's probably something wrong with you. But a lot of people buy a Mac for genuine reasons. They work, their productivity, video editing, photos, they're in the Apple ecosystem, etc. But they still want to play games. They don't want to have to go out and buy a PC just to play a game. With the price of graphics cards and processors and everything at the moment, who wants to do that? You can spend almost the same on the Mac as you can on the PC just to play games. Even a console is super expensive at the moment. Who's got the money for all of that? Especially if you've already bought a Mac, you probably don't have any more money left anyway because it's stupidly expensive. But maybe you want to still play a game every now and then. You might not be gaming hardcore, but what if you want to play some games every now and then? Are they going to run on the Mac? But more importantly, how are they going to run? There's websites out there like, I think it's Can It Metal, Play on Mac, these kinds of things, where there's a big long list of games that says whether it will play or not, whether it runs on Metal, native, M1 chips, Intel, whether it uses Rosetta II, etc, etc. And it kind of gives you some indication of how it might play, but there's nothing like just being in the game and actually playing it. Now you'll see from some of the clips coming up that the FPS counter doesn't give you the whole picture. It doesn't give you the whole story of what the game's actually like to play. Now, unfortunately, I don't really have 1% lows, etc. So it's just the in-game counter. But I wanted to take some videos of me playing some popular games on the Mac, albeit probably not very well, so that you guys can actually have a look and see what the actual gameplay is looking like with the FPS there as well. And basically they're all on pretty much max settings on 1440p. Now I don't have a 4K monitor unfortunately yet. I have got one on order, the LG 5K 2K ultra wide 40-inch, which has been on back order for like 3 months and it just keeps getting delayed. I will be making a review of that monitor when it comes, unboxing and a review and how it sits with my Mac. And I'll revisit this video then again to see what these games are like actually in 4K, because more people are doing 4K gaming nowadays, basically. And if you've got a 4K monitor, which you might do if you have a Mac, you probably want to be doing 4K gaming if you've got one. So, games that we're going to cover today. We're going to cover World of Warcraft, Diablo III, League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO, and Path of Exile. Now, I've not got huge amounts of games on my Steam library or just downloaded. I don't really want to go and spend huge amounts of money on buying loads of games to test out. But let me know in the comments down below if you want any particular games testing, if enough people want them, if I get enough likes, if I get enough subscribers, so do make sure you subscribe to the channel, then hey, I'll just go out and buy the games and I will test them and I will record the footage and I will upload it onto the channel for you guys if that's what you are wanting. So we're going to look at these today and we're going to look at the FPS and we're going to look at the actual gameplay. And what I want you to do is have a look at the videos and have a look to see if it's smooth or choppy. Don't just look at the FPS counter. Look at how the game is actually playing. Spoiler, Some of them are brilliant, some of them are terrible. Well, just not that great. Actually, one was pretty bad. All right, let's get into it. So the first game up is going to be World of Warcraft. Now, World of Warcraft, it's a game I used to play a lot when I was younger. I played it for a very long time, far longer than I would care to admit. I put way too many hours into this game, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that, yeah, I probably spent far too long playing it, but I don't really play it anymore. So I can't really show you any proper in-game footage for, you know, raiding and PvP, because basically my account's deactivated and I don't really want to bother, you know, playing it again. Haven't played it in ages. I can't really remember how to play that character, quite honestly. But what I did was made a new trial character, as you can see here, and did the standard thing, taking the benchmark Griffin ride from Stormwind to Gold Farm, or well, basically the other way around in this case, actually. And you can see from the FPS counter, it's actually pretty decent. It's actually pretty damn good. At 1440p max settings, you can see it's actually really quite good. The gameplay is just actually buttery smooth. There's no jerking, there's no tearing. The FPS counter barely drops below about 90, and it just looks absolutely fine. In fact, the textures actually look really quite good. I don't know if they've updated it since the last time I played. They probably have. But it actually looks really nice. Okay, look, it's still World of Warcraft, so it's not the most amazing graphics, but it actually looks, yeah, really quite good actually. So World of Warcraft definitely gets a thumbs up for playing on the Mac at 1440p. I'm sure at 4K it would be absolutely fine as well. Yeah, like I can't show you raids or PvP, but it's fair to say it's gonna drop, but it may not necessarily drop that much, given that those are relatively CPU intensive, and you know, this has got the M1 Max in the studio here. So if you want me to show you that, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I may just do some raiding on the character. Okay, next up is Diablo 3. So this is another Blizzard game, like World of Warcraft, but this one actually doesn't run on the Metal API. This one actually runs through Rosetta 2, as far as I'm aware. Now you'll see here again, the game is on max settings at 1440p. You'll see here the FPS counter looks reasonable enough, but you can see there are some glitches, there are some little abnormalities. If you look at the little Mystic allies, there's little blue characters there. You can see they're just glitching out. They don't look normal. They're not meant to look like that. In-game footage in a Rift. Now look, I'm jumping all around the place because that's just my monk character. Again, I haven't really played it in a while, so forgive me, I'm not playing prep very well. I'm just hugely overpowered and I can destroy the Rift in this game. So I am jumping around a lot, but the game actually isn't really jumping around that much. You'll see a little bit later some footage where I actually just kind of walk through. I don't really jump around, and you can see the gameplay is actually almost completely smooth. There's a tiny bit of jerking every now and then, but for the most part it's actually really buttery smooth. If anything, the problem areas is in the towns, which isn't a massive deal. So the FPS counter you can see is absolutely fine. Now, of course, Diablo 3 doesn't have big raiding or anything. There's no real PvP, anything like that. So it's not a huge problem to just have a little bit of jerking every now and then. Otherwise, the gameplay honestly is absolutely fine. I would be more than happy enough to play this game on the Mac Studio with the M1 Max. But bear in mind, it's not with the Metal API. It's going through Rosetta 2. Okay. Next up on the list is League of Legends. Now, I used to play League a fair bit back in the day. I don't really play much games anymore. You know, I'm busy with work. I've got 3 kids. I don't really have that much time to play games, but every once in a while, I do like to play. Now, please excuse the gameplay footage. I haven't played in a very, very long time. Very, very rusty. I had to go through the tutorial again with a new account and so on. I couldn't remember my old account details. But as far as I'm aware, League of Legends runs through the Metal API. Now you can see the FPS counter here is ridiculously high. Now this is on max settings, at 1440p, and it is running beautifully, absolutely perfectly, not a single glitch, not a single jerk, anything throughout the whole gameplay. I've played a couple of hours of League of Legends with this today, and yeah, look, it is absolutely perfect. So if you're a League of Legends player, absolutely no problem. And I'm sure scaling up to 4K, you're still going to be hitting probably 100 to 150, even maybe 200 FPS on this game. It's not a very intensive game, but it is optimized. So this one, definitely a tick for the Mac Studio, and I'm sure the other Macs as well. Next up on the list is Dota 2. Now, similar to League of Legends, it is a Defense of the Ancients type of game. Pretty much the same thing. However, Dota 2 is not set up for Metal API. It uses either Vulkan or OpenGL. You can see the FPS counter there. It's not fantastic. Compare that to League of Legends. League of Legends was 2.5 times as much almost. This game is struggling a little bit. Now the FPS counter looks fine. If you went on one of those websites, it would say it can run Dota 2 through Rosetta at 100 FPS. Yeah, it can do. But is that the actual gameplay? Well, you can see from this footage, it's not. The gameplay was pretty terrible. Now look, I've never played Dota 2, so ignore my gameplay because it was terrible. But the actual video footage, the gameplay, it was so jerky, there was tearing, it was just unplayable. It was like playing at like 10 FPS. It was horrid. I would not recommend Dota 2 on the Mac. And it didn't really make any real difference whether it was running through Vulkan or OpenGL. And this footage is basically of both. It really didn't make any difference. The frame rates were pretty much the same. Pretty shocking experience all round. So I'm afraid Dota 2 really gets a thumbs down, I'm afraid. The next game that we're going to be looking at is CSGO. Now CSGO is a very popular game. I've actually never played CSGO, so again, please excuse the gameplay footage. But as far as I'm aware, again, CSGO does not use the Metal API. So it's not native and it's running through Rosetta 2. Now this is running again at pretty much completely maxed settings. As you can see here, I'm trying to max out all the settings there. And it's running at 1440p, of course, as well. Now basically, you can see the FPS counter there. It's struggling. Now, most things are going to run CSGO at ridiculously high frame rates. Certainly if you've watched any, Linus Tech Tips videos, they're running at like 300-400 FPS almost. This is clearly not. It's running at 100 FPS. But you can see from the footage, it's not smooth. It's not butter. It is just jerky. It is jagged. There's no real glitches or anything that I could see, although I didn't really play it for very long. But it just wasn't great to look at. It wasn't a great experience. I would have expected a lot more given how light CSGO usually is graphically. So I'm a little bit disappointed with CSGO there. Oh, apparently I forgot to film the outro yesterday, hence change of clothes. So thank you for watching the video, guys. You can see from the video some games absolutely perfect, like World of Warcraft. If you're a big WoW player, you're not going to have any problems on the Mac. I was playing it at 1440p, absolutely max resolution, max AA, everything set, absolutely fine, no problems, 100 FPS. Okay, it wasn't in a raid or PvP, it's going to drop a little bit, but I can't really film that at the moment, unfortunately. Some games, the FPS was the same, but like Diablo 3 was fine at around 100 FPS, but Dota 2, 100 FPS absolutely sucked. It just could not handle it at all through Rosetta 2. It really did not like it. Compare that same style MOBA game to League of Legends, 300 FPS, absolutely perfect, buttery smooth, no problems whatsoever. So it really does seem to be quite variable. So what I would suggest is, if you are interested in getting any games for the Mac, obviously if you have a Mac already, look, you've already bought it, but you don't want to buy games and it turns out they're not going to play. So try and borrow a copy from a friend, try and find a friend who's got a Mac that's already got that game, something like that. Or better yet, subscribe to my channel, let me know in the comments down below, hit a like on the video, and I might just go out and buy that game and test it out for you. Let me know in the comments down below. But do make sure you subscribe to my channel, guys, because it really does help me out. If you liked this video and you want to see more content like it, hit a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, well, do a thumbs down and YouTube will give me a smack on the wrist. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.